Hey guys, so this episode was actually recorded a few weeks ago, but I just thought I would come on here and just quickly address the situation that's happening in Wayanad at the moment. My fan base, most of my fan base actually comes from Kerala, so I can imagine this must be impacting a lot of people listening to this. So anyone that has gone through any difficulties due to the landslides at the moment, I understand there's been a lot of loss of life already. There's been a lot of loss of, property and land, I imagine as well. And it's probably impacted the whole district pretty badly. It's a pretty bad situation right now, guys. And my thoughts and prayers are with you guys. I hope that everything turns out okay. And that's really all I really had to say. Again, devastating situation, and I hope it gets better. Hello, welcome back to another episode of D54. I'm Amit, joined by Kathy from Cinemondo.
Hello.
How are you doing, Kathy?
Good. How are you?
Yeah. No, good. Been pretty good. So we're doing a different movie today. One called Purusha Pretham. Male. In the brackets it has male ghost. So I don't know if that's the exact translation or maybe a substitute name or something like that. But before we get into this,
there were no ghosts in this.
No, this was not. This was
Don't
not a
get
movie
excited.
about spirits. Not supernatural. No,
No
it was
ghosts.
not like that at all.
No,
not at all. But I guess the reason why we're doing this movie is because if you're wondering why the heck did you choose to do this movie, random, movie from 2023 that came out on streaming, it's not. It seems a little off. But the reason we're doing it is because we actually want to focus on this channel a little bit more on some of the more underrated movies that I feel have not been given enough shine.
Yes.
For instance,
that's a great idea.
Because we do a lot of movies with Mammootty, we do a lot of movies with Mohanlal, we do a lot of movies that break the box office. We do all that stuff. We do Fahad Fasil movies, but there are these movies, and we on our channel we do a lot of older movies too. But there are these movies that also break through, which don't feel like I feel personally like they haven't been given enough shine. Yeah. So this movie was recommended to me by a good friend of the show, Bibin. So thanks, mate, as always.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the reason why we're sort of doing this. So let us know what other movies you guys consider underrated. And you feel like you deserve a bit more light on them because we want to sort of just give them more shine right now.
That's right. And I'm really interested in it because I feel relatively new to Indian films. So I've been watching them about a year and a half. So I have missed a lot of older and not old, but just, good films that, just aren't brand new. And so I'm very interested in hearing about the ones I missed. Like this was a perfect example, just going back and seeing some of the great ones that I need to know. So I'd like to. So if you have any suggestions, like you said, post them because I want to watch more good movies. Yes.
Yep, definitely put them in the comment section. We'd love to cover them. We're going to look to do a series of them going forward. So that's one of the comments. But regarding this movie, Purusha Pretham, this was a very enjoyable movie. I really enjoyed this.
It's not what I expected because I was expecting kind of a crime procedural, which it was. Yep. But they started such a weird tone. Like I wasn't expecting the original tone. Like they had this really very very saturated kind of gel lighting, green and red, like everybody's this weird light, like the music video. And it was a lot of that. And I'm like, why are they lighting them like this? And then the tone was kind of funny and they were kind of like Keystone Cops, like they were kind of doofuses walking around. I'm like, is this a comedy? Like it was very strange. And so at first I was trying to wrap my head around it. And then when it kind of clicked, I was like, oh my God, this movie is great.
Yeah. No, same. It took me a little while to get into this movie because I was on the same boat. It is listed as a comedy thriller.
That's about right.
Into Google, and it does have sort of a bit of a film noir feel to it, I guess, because some of the stuff they do in it, and especially with the I guess the cinematography and the shooting style, like they had a specific way of framing things, specific way of lighting.
Yes.
I saw they used to use, the frame, like they push someone's face right to the edge of the screen and they frame it like that. It was pretty unique
great.
Pretty something I've not seen too much of. So from a cinematography point of view, it was artful. It was very nice. The color scheme was like in this, like even like the poster and stuff like that. It's this green reddish kind of extremely saturated kind of look to it. But the tone also got me a little bit because I was like, there was a lot of comedy, like with the police officer at the very start embellishing stories.
That was funny. And the way they handled. I know, and the way they handled when they found the body in the lake, it all kind of hinges on this body they find in a lake. It was so oddly done. Like it was blurred out. And I'm assuming they did the blur on purpose.
true.
It wasn't editing, was it? It wasn't.
No.
So they blur it out, and it almost looks like a mannequin. Like it looks like a weird, almost a blow up doll at first. You're like, what is happening? It was very stylized, very strange. It almost looked animated. I'm like, what is happening? And then they bring it in, and so that becomes a big crux. So, I get it now because you weren't really supposed to see what he really looked like, and he had been there a while, but they didn't want to show it. So it had that kind of how they blur bad stuff in true crime, but it was just odd to see that in a movie, and I was like, what is this movie? And then it all sort of starts making sense. It starts unspooling all of its mysteries. You're like, oh, I get it now.
Yeah.
So good.
Yeah. Now, even the whole scene on the, I guess, river, because I guess the comedy is black comedy, if you want to put it as that or anything like that. It's dark comedy. It's, it's basically the dead body. And it's stuck between what I think, it's in the river and it's between two districts. So they're basically arguing between whose case should it be.
Who's got to deal with it?
And both of them are like, we don't want it. Like, we don't want this case. So they're not shown as the most competent or the most, I guess, good cops in a moral way.
They're lazy. They don't want to deal with it. They don't know who he is. He's unrecognizable. Like, let's just get rid of it. Let's just pretend like it never happened.
Yeah, exactly. I think they even make some claims about that. Like, if this had happened, then, we wouldn't have to deal with it kind of thing. Like, they're really adverse to doing anything.
Yes.
But it did actually talk about the subject, which I'm also very interested in, because it's also just, I think this movie was done really well. Like, I think one of the strengths of Malayalam cinema is, like, they seem to always, not always, but they seem to showcase at times sort of, I guess, not always political issues or social issues, but just, I guess, cultural issues that are very specific to Kerala. And what this one did really well was just about, I guess, the burial process and how they sort of manage that and the complexities behind that, because you have a country, state like Kerala, which is unlike other parts of India. Like, Kerala is actually one of the states which has a large Christian community and a large Islamic community too.
Okay.
So, from my limited knowledge, from what I understand, is I think in Hindu culture, like, cremation is normally pretty common. So you'd burn the body and have ashes. But in Christianity and Islam, you actually have to bury the bodies. So that creates a problem in Kerala when you have rising tides and waters and monsoons and things like that, with the bodies just floating. So it talked about the subject, which I honestly, I didn't give much thought to it. I didn't know much about it, but I did appreciate that. It talked about something which, it sort of educated me on something which I didn't know about. So I did like that too.
Yeah, and you find out the difficulties. Like, you bury a body there, and when they couldn't, this is part of and we're not going to talk too spoilery because part of it is the discovery and the mystery, but if you bury it sometimes because of how much water is in that environment, the body can actually be washed away from underground into the river and they lose the body. Like, what? Right. So it's like, that is fascinating. I mean, when I was in India, it wasn't in South India, but they talked about when the monsoons come, everybody leaves. Just get out. Don't stay. Yeah. It's like, oh, okay. So you can see, like, I can imagine how bad it would be in the South, but I thought that was a fascinating detail. That it's really hard to bury bodies there because that happens all the time. And
they did a really good job of actually exploring that concept too and the complexities of it. Like, I mean, Kerala, very monsoon prone area, to be honest. It rains there like very heavy, and I mean, from what I know, it rains very heavy and very strong for a long period of time as well. And it can rain just like that. So, but I did like how they sort of talked about the difficulties the cops have to face. Yes, they weren't the best cops, but it was the cops and the hospital, and I guess the graveyard diggers who were also there. Like, they were also involved with, because they go to the place.
I'm not gonna do it.
Yeah, they argue between who's going to do it, but there's also, like, I think they have to legally keep the body for like 7 days or something like that. Oh, and the hospital is telling them, like, no, get it out. Like, there's no space.
Because it already been in the water a while too, so it was not in good shape.
No, exactly right. So the cops, I guess they broke protocol and they got it buried, but then due to incompetence, they told the guy to bury it and he didn't know where it was.
So they lose it, basically. They lose his body. And, and there was kind of a running gag, was the main cop, Sebastian, the guy who's doing the boasting. So I love where he's like talking about, that's right, I'm so cool. And he's basically torturing people. It was like the running joke, like, you're bragging about torturing people. And then they kept showing him with these different injuries. Like, every time he saw me, he had a different bandage. Like,
a neck bracelet.
It was so odd. I was like, what is happening? So you're like, what's happening to this guy? So it's like these little weird moments, these little tiny things that you have to notice that you just start realizing, what? It was really cute. I liked that.
Definitely. No, I definitely like the I like the tone of this movie and the pacing of it because it just kept you engaged. I think after I got a hold of what this movie was trying to do, I really started to appreciate it more because I was in that point where I'm like, I don't really understand what they're doing here. This isn't really working for me. I think for the first, honestly, 40 minutes of this movie, it took me a while to get into it. I think it was honestly the injection of Darshana's character, who really
that was 100%
really,
when that thing takes off. Yes, that was great.
When she comes in, and I mean, she's very talented actress, and again, this is sort of one of the reasons why we're doing this. We're going to talk about some actors who deserve some more shine. She was fantastic in this, and she's a very talented actress. I mean, we've seen her in things like Jaya Hey, which was a big breakthrough. What I know, at least, I know she's in other ones like Hidrayam, which is a popular movie. We've seen her in that horror movie with Fahad Fasil, which wasn't the best movie, but she was great for what she had to do.
They had great actors in it. It's just the storyline was a little weak. That's all. But I did. The actors were great.
The movie I'd recommend for you to watch from her would be another COVID movie, but this was one of those movies. It also has Fahad Fasil. It's called See You Soon.
I'll watch that.
It's one of those movies that are similar to is it called Searching or Finding? What's the movies where it's just shot on the webcam and mobile phones?
Found footage.
They're not found. Oh no, not necessarily found footage. It's no like physical cameras. They're all just like webcam recording and like iPhone like tracking and that kind of stuff.
That's still kind of found footage ish. Like when it's
it is, but it's 100%.
Oh, that's really funny.
Searching, yes. Have you seen that movie?
No, I've not.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So it's pretty similar to Searching. It's like that. So it's all shot like that. But she, I mean, even on the webcam, like she was great in that movie.
That's
so definitely extremely talented actress. But when she comes in with her kind of, I guess her performance is a little bit like deadpan, if you want to call it. Like,
well, she's in mourning because her husband died, right? Or he's gone. She doesn't know. She wants to know if this body they found was her husband, and that's what starts everything going out of control because they can't find the body, and now they're being exposed for the incompetent, stupid job they did about it.
Yeah,
because this woman wants to find out was it her husband, and they wouldn't let her see him.
No, they wouldn't, and the amount of struggle.
Oh, you don't want to see that.
No, it's like tell us. She tells the details, and he basically says, "No, it can't be him." They dismiss it on basically all the cases that that every scenario, every criteria. It's not him. No, it can't be. But she's very persistent. She keeps going because, as we find out later, she has her own motives.
There's some reasons she needs to find him.
Yeah, there are some reasons.
Find him.
But they do sort of keep that going, and when she sort of comes in and that dynamic, that sort of just. I don't know. She kind of screws with them. I guess because the cops are just completely shown about how incompetent they are,
and super sexist. Like, don't you worry, you little head. You just, but see, they underestimate her, and she was super slick, really clever, and she's outsmarting them every step of the way, which is so great. I love that.
Yeah, no. There's like a bit of like I guess machoism, if you want to put it like that, from the cops. It's really one cop, the S.R. Sebastian, who's I guess the other prominent I guess cop in this, because this movie doesn't have a huge cast. There's Jagadish as the other cop, he was responsible for finding out where the body was. So there's this other actress, Devaki Rajendran, who was also fantastic. She was playing, I guess, the love interest for S.R. Sebastian. And also, I also like that as well. They sort of explored that sort of side story, I guess, to sort of show, what sort of she's going through.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It was so good. I think also the male ghost also is the term for unidentified male corpse. Yes. So because he was unidentified, that's why there's no ghosts in this, people. But we do have an unidentified male corpse.
There's some legal terminology behind that. So, and they did sort of talk about it at the end of the movie, which I seem to have forgotten now. So in the comment section, guys, if you know anything about this term male ghost specifically, let us know, because there is something about that. Like I think they used to call them male ghosts or something like that, and then they've changed the term legally because it's not appropriate or something like that. It's equivalent to a John Doe.
Dismissive. It's John Doe. Basically, you're right. It is. It's John Doe.
Yeah.
But one reason I like this movie too is like I love crime movies. I love true crime. So I liked while it was sort of comedy and messed up, I liked the detail in the sort of investigation of this, what happened with this. So that was fascinating just to see how the police were handling it, even though they were doing it badly. I liked all that minutia of how they were handling the crime. So it was very smart, and they were kind of hiding a lot of the cleverness under kind of goofiness a little bit, like the bad cops, the guy who's over the top and he's trying to be all manly, but he's not manly at all. And it's like, the way they treat the women, like there's those kind of heavy things at the top and kind of burying the kind of more clever, fun, and also cop-like procedure stuff that I really enjoy. So it's a solid movie, even if you like that. It's not even just like, oh, it's just a goofy movie about a screwed up crime. No, they also treat it really in a smart way. You really get to see them investigate the crime. So I really like that.
No, it's a really clever movie. I think it does that really well. It balances, I guess, the mystery element along with the procedural element, along with the comedy.
Yep.
So it sort of does do this, I guess, kind of genre blending and talks about a subject which we don't know much about as well, with sort of actors that we also have not heard too much of either. So it ticks off a lot of boxes. But I think one of the most important parts about these kind of movies is sort of the ending, because it does it turns into a bit of there is a lot of mystery in this, as I mentioned. There's a lot of twists and turns, especially towards the second half, and that sort of aspect of that, I guess, that kind of film noir style, which they even has cinematography. Like the cinematography was also towards the end a little bit like that too. They played some of the music that was very typical.
Yes, it was so good.
Noir movies, but it really had to, I feel like this movie had to land the ending. Like it had to be like, what does it all mean? How's it going to
really
unfold?
Did
What's the twist going to be? And I think they really landed it in many ways. Like just so getting into spoilers now. So if you've not seen it, I think it's okay from a movie that came out last year, and I think this was a COVID movie or something like that, because it went directly to OTT. I think it didn't have a cinematic release.
Okay,
I think. Again, correct me if I'm wrong, guys, but it is a movie that went straight to Sony Live, from what I can see.
Oh, okay.
But essentially, I did like how this movie's ending. It had to nail it, and it did it on so many ways, because that scene at the end when he reaches the house, and he's sort of with Darshana and the brother and all that stuff. And they've got to basically, he's found out everything and told her, and we find out why she did what she did. It also played it nice because it was still delicate. Like the husband was also beating her or something like that.
Yeah.
So she had her reasons to sort of do what she had to, but just the whole way it unfolded was just fantastic, I thought.
So good. And then even they put a twist on the twist. So I liked that too. Like you got the twist and then they did some unexpected things even after that. So I was very, very surprised by how intricate and how well handled this movie was. Really well crafted. It's like you said, I love the film noir aspect to it that they kind of bring in. Like they're very, very conscious of the tone of every scene and what they want to do with it. Yeah. And so that was, I feel like watching it again because I feel I didn't really appreciate the beginning because I was so busy going, what? So now I want to watch it again now, knowing the tone that's expected. It's really good.
Yeah, definitely. Now I think this movie would probably do better on a rewatch, because you would have probably focused on more, I guess, other things rather than the storyline, because you know what's happening.
Yeah, I think that would be
happens with mysteries or noir movies. You're kind of you're so invested in sort of trying to find out what's happening. You kind of tend to miss some of the other things that they're talking about. So watching it a second time can definitely be good. But no, I thoroughly enjoyed this movie. I thought it was very entertaining.
Oh, good.
Yeah, all the performances were fantastic. There's not much I can really flaw about this movie. It's actually really, really good. I'm surprised it's not been talked about more. I've had very few recommendations for this movie, so I'm surprised it just hasn't picked up that much. I'm really glad we got to cover it because it's fantastic.
We're going to promote this film because this is one reason I like your idea of doing these kind of underappreciated films, because I feel like some do get lost in the shuffle, especially like during COVID. I feel like there was kind of this flurry of what are we going to do, and these kind of awkward release techniques and what was happening. So this is great because I'm getting educated, and then also people are going to go, I never heard this movie either. I'm going to watch it. Like this is how you can promote some of these, like you said, underappreciated films. So this is a great idea.
But yeah, guys, let us know what you thought about this movie. We'd love to know other opinions. What did you guys think? Did you like it? Did it work for you? Did it not work for you? Are there any other? I don't think I've seen another movie. That's the other part that I will just quickly mention. It's like we've seen so many, the procedural genre is done to death, yet this movie still found a way to keep it refreshing.
It did.
That's what
never seen a plot like this. Never seen it, and it seems like such an obvious one. Like when you think about it, like an unidentified body. How are they going to identify it? Like now you could go DNA, but maybe not. I don't know. So it's like it was fascinating that they haven't done it more often.
the choice to put the comedy in there is just something that you rarely see police procedurals and comedies. Like it's so far apart. I can't think of the top of my head another movie from the Malayalam film industry, or even maybe otherwise, that combine this sort of these kind of genres, which is just so good, so ambitious and so well done. We're obviously just full of praise for this movie. So.
Yes, I know. I can't really think of anything I didn't like. So,
No,
good.
Really, I really can't. It was fantastic.
It was solid.
I'm trying to see if there's anything else from the director. I haven't seen anything else from the director. The director has a few movies, but not so many either.
Okay.
So a lot of short films. So I guess a pretty inexperienced director, but I mean, looking forward to whatever he does next.
I'm amazed when these guys come out of the box like that with such solid hold on the material and just so confident. My God, it's amazing.
To be so ambitious to just do something like this, to be like, let me not do the typical police procedural serious tone,
amazing,
crime thriller with some action scenes. No, this is completely. There's no action scenes in this, except for maybe the end.
Massive talent. Keep an eye on this guy. Yep.
Definitely. Yep. Well, thanks a lot for joining me, Kathy, on this very exciting, very
on the next one.
Fun movie.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah, looking forward to get you back for the next one.
And definitely.
Talk about that soon. All right, guys. Thanks so much for listening.